and the common hour. Now, for today's common hour, we're going to look at the conclusion, limitation, and recommendation. If we if we look at the mark scheme from CXC here, you will see right here that conclusion, limitations, and recommendation gives you a total of 8 marks, right? So when you conclude the study and you also have your limitations and your recommendation, you get 2 marks for the conclusion, 2 marks for the limitations, and 4 marks for your uh, recommendations, right? And your recommendation must be practical and relevant. We're going to go through these throughout the session. Now, next week, we are going to have, you're going to meet with your, what do you call it now? We are going to go through an IA together next week. And then the following week, you're going to have a writing workshop where you're going to know how, we're going to get someone to come in either from CXC to show you how to write your essays for your exams. So that is one. But before we go, I just want to go through this IA for you. So first you have the cover page. So this is the cover page of one IA. The next page after the cover page, the student has, or the group at the time, they has the theme, which is here. So they put their theme, then their topic, and then their statement of problem. And the statement of problem reads, an investigation to find out the causes of male underachievement among male students of grade 9 to 11 at the Tarrant High School in Kingston, St. Andrew, Jamaica, right? Also, after that, they have their introduction. So if you look clearly, they have their introduction. After their within their introduction, there are 5 research questions that are very, very important. So I say 4 to 5 research questions. And these research questions are geared towards what you aim or what you want the research to, what you intend to glean or gather from the research that you're doing. Now, after you do your research question, immediately under your research question comes the definition of technical terms. And so any term that you're going to use within the IA, you're asked to define those terms. And that is part of your introduction. Within your introduction, you must state the title, restate your title of your study, or the problem statement. You need to give a background. So if you're looking at St. Andrew High School for girls, you need to give us some background information on St. Andrew High School for girls. For example, this group looked at Tarrant High School, and they said that Tarrant was located in some Mullines Road, which is a small community located in the parish of St. Andrew. Tarrant is a educational institution with a population of 1,500. It's a co-ed school. And so you give some background information to where you're doing the research. Also, you need to state the value of your research, what you intend, you or as a group, what you intend to learn from the research or what the research intends to help others, either in the school or within the community that you're doing the research on, or within the country or some institution. You need to state the educational value of the research. With this, I believe you'll get your full marks. Immediately after your we call it now, your introduction, you need to do your literature review, right? And you need to have at least 4 to 5 literature that you're going to look at. I've seen from what I've marked thus far, I've seen students just give me, we call it now, just internet sources, red flag. Just we call it newspaper articles, red flag. Once, if you submit a literature review that just has internet sources alone, or just cover just newspaper articles, you're going to find yourself into deep, deep problem, not only from me, but from CXC. So the recommended, or what CXC has recommended, is that one, you need a book, you need a book chapter, not a book chapter, a journal article, maybe a newspaper article and an internet source. You can review a YouTube video on the topic, right? So you can find stuff. So this thing where I see some people just submitting just newspaper articles, it's not good. And I would have shown you in this command hour how to go on Google Books. Is Google Books? Yeah. How to go on Google Books to find sources or Google Scholar. And so my thing is that if you get here wrong, you're bound to have problem, and you might end up with maybe 50% or less for your overall IA. After your literature review, you need your data collection, right? So you need to tell us about your data collection, how you go about collecting your information. You use the internet, how many persons you send it, you send it to. You create the instrument online, the questionnaire online, which data created the questionnaire, when you send it out, you need to give us those information. You need to also tell us if you use secondary source. Please do not use the data collection to define terms like quantitative, qualitative, questionnaire. You're not getting any marks for it. CXC doesn't want it in it. So when you're looking at your data collection, don't tell me a primary data is this, or a secondary data is this, a qualitative research means this, or quantitative research means it. No, we don't need that. What we need in this section, did you conduct an interview? Yes. When you conduct the interview, this date. You went about giving out questionnaire. When you created the questionnaire, when you sent out the questionnaire, how many questionnaire you would have sent out? How many persons responded to the questionnaire? You go to the library, which day you would have gone to the library? You use books? Yes, I would have used books. Yes. Where you get those books from? From the internet. That is where you tell us how you collect your data. After that now, you need to do the presentation of data. So after your collection of data collection, your next part is the presentation of data. Now within this section, You are support whatever you use to collect your data, if it is an interview or a questionnaire, you need to represent those in graph forms. So this group has or had a picture graph. So this is one way in which they would have collected their data. Always remember to put a little notation at the bottom. You will get marks. Well, it is required that you do that. Also, all your graphs must have a title. So you need to put titles for your graphs, each of your graphs. And also you have a notation at the bottom. Though the notation should not be more than 2 lines. Don't give me a notation of 5, 6 lines. Or give us 6, it doesn't want that. 1 or 2. It is just a notation. So if you after you realize that this group would have used picture graph, line graph, bar graph, pie chart, bar graph again. This is a table that they would have used, a pie chart, pie chart. This one is a table, picture graph, table. And so if you realize that they would have used a mixture of different uh, uh, instruments in presenting their data. So there's no way under the heavens that you should use only line graph, only picture graph, only bar graph. No, you have to give us use up everything. So you need to give us maybe 1 or 2 picture graph, maybe 1 or 2 line graph, uh, a bar graph, a pie chart, a table. You have to use a variety of ways. All right. Next, after that, now you're going to analyze your data. Now, when you're analyzing your data, you see these questions here, research questions, which is right here in the IA. You're going to use these research questions along with the presentation of data, the things that you would have presented here to analyze your data. Very, very important that you use this to analyze your data. Next, after your analysis here, the next one is discussions of findings or discussion of findings. How do you go about doing your discussion of findings? Your discussion of findings include your literature review. So all the literature that you have reviewed here, you're going to use your, you're going to use your literature review plus what you would have found here through collecting your data to do your discussion of findings. And basically what your discussion of finding is saying, is it that based on research that has been done, is it that there are similarities in your research? Yes, if there are similarities. Is it that what you have gathered is completely different? So for example, if we're doing something on this teenage students' use of alcohol at St. Andrew High School for girls, just an example. And the research states that teenagers use quite a lot of alcohol, right? But when you do your research or your questionnaire, you realize that at St. Andrew High School for girls, students don't use alcohol. So that is one way in which both research would have dealt with finding out teenagers' use of alcohol. So that is a similarity. But also a difference in the research is that while the researcher found out that uh, teenagers would have used alcohol quite a lot, in your research at St. Andrew, uh, students do not consume alcohol. And so that is what you're going to do within your discussions of findings. Next, you're going to conclude. And so this is the part that I'm going to do right now. So you need your conclusion. So you conclude, you give your limitations. Is it you never have any money? Is it that the research that you're doing, people did not respond adequately to the questionnaire? People, your interviewee didn't turn up to the interview. All the limitation, all the difficulties that you would have faced, you need to tell us about limitation. You need at least, I will come to this, but maybe at least two limitations. Then also, you need your recommendation. So you need to recommend, based on your topic, you need to recommend how to improve or to fix the problem. So you need two recommendations. So two limitations, two recommendations, right? So you're able to get your marks. Next, not a perfect bibliography, but it can work. Uh, because when you're doing bibliography, you do not use bullet points for bibliography. Uh, for this bibliography, you realize that the student would have placed the authors within alpha or the sources within alphabetical order, except for Campbell. So they would have lose a mark here. So you need to place each of your sources in alphabetical order. All right. And after that, then you're going to put your appendix with your questionnaires. They also have focus group questions, interview questions, the letter that they would have sent to the school. What does Tarrant High School asking permission to do the interview because they actually went there to distribute the questionnaires. And that was the end of their research. That is the end of their research. Now, our focus for the next few minutes. Any question, ladies? No question? All right, good. So that means it is clear. All right. So for your conclusion, what are you doing for your conclusion?
Excuse me, sir, there's a question in the chat.
Go ahead for me.
There's a question in the chat, sir.
Read it for me, please.
Sir, it says, did the students get a good grade for the IA?
Which students?
The one that you presented on, sir.
Oh yes, they got a very good grade for the IA. I think it is a good grade. Let us look.
Sir, another question says, sir, is it there a section titled Interpretation of Findings?
Interpretation of findings is the same thing as analysis of data. It's the same thing.
Okay, sir.
All right. So I believe the older IAs have analysis of data. The newer IAs, you use interpretations of findings. Same thing. So this group would have received for their IA 58 out of 60. 58 out of 60. That was their grade. So if you, thank you very much for reading the questions for me. So if you follow the guideline, it is possible that you could go into the exam with 58. You're not going in, well, with my group, you're not going in with 60. But you can get up to 59. I'll give you up to 59 and take off 1 mark. Let's see if you find the other 1 mark and give it to you. All right, because at the end of the day, they will remark all the IAs, correct? So if I'm too easy, well, you are not supposed to be easy, just mark it according to the rubric. And we don't want your IAs to go up and then they are going to not. You get what I'm saying? Failure IA makes no sense. All right, now, ladies, let us see if we can go through the conclusion. What we're looking for when you're doing the conclusion. So in the conclusion, what we want you to do is to restate your aim and purpose of the study. What are the results? Just summarize the results. Restate your educational value, right? So you're basically giving a summary. What is your perspective on the problem? This is where you give your personal perspective on it when you're doing your conclusion. Conclusion to me is one of the best thing to, well, best part of the hardest thing to write, but the best one. So these are some of the things that you look at when you're looking at your conclusion, right? Next, your limitations. As I said, you need at least 2 limitations. Now, this is a criticism of your methodology. You are not critiquing your own self, critiquing how you as a group would have carried out your work, right? Also, a limitation could also be that students in your group didn't participate. As they, well, they don't want to put that because 60 might red flag the group. Well, don't put that. But the criticism is basically shortcomings in your research. Uh, is it that when you were doing the research or when you created your design, you said, all right, I'm going to do interviews. But at the end of the research, you said, you know that this research would have been way better if I'd used questionnaires, right? So you need to mention your method, the instrument, and the source of sample that would have affected your result. Also explain how changes in each would give a different or more meaningful answer to your problem statement. And I would have given you 1 example. So you need to give some 2 limitations. You need 2 limitations to get that mark. Next, your recommendation. These are solutions to the problem. Your recommendations are made to relevant authorities in your communities or your school, depending on the nature of your study. Well, this said you should suggest at least 3 recommendations. And the reason why we say 3 recommendations, the reason why the PowerPoint says 3 recommendations is because at times one of the recommendations don't make no sense and you're not going to get the mark for it. So to be safe, just have 3 recommendations there. But the truth and in fact, you need just 2 recommendations. So you decide if you have 2 strong recommendations, put it down. But if you are not so sure, you can just say, listen, well, if you're not sure about the 2, then I don't know. But you can have at least 3. Don't give me 4, 5. Give us at least 3. 3 the most, and 2 is what is required. And you know that at St. Andrew, very extra with everything, right? So the requirement tends to be a little different. The recommendation should be sensible, so it should be sensible, practical solutions which could be easily implemented, right? And do not recommend activities or strategies which are already in place, as this will suggest that you did not conduct the adequate research. I'm not going to go with this on the PowerPoint uh, because I could make somebody could make a recommendation already to improve maybe crime in Jamaica. Look at, for example, crime in Jamaica. You're looking at crime. One of my IA groups looking at crime. From 1962 until now, there is this very same recommendations that they are using to solve crime in Jamaica. And every single year from Jamaica get independence until this very day, crime is increasing significantly. Don't care how they increase the security budget, it's still increasing. The issue with Jamaica when it comes to crime is that while funding is very important in dealing with the, we call it now, providing vehicles for the police, protection, all of these different stuff. Yes, that is good. Very good. I'm not critiquing the government spending in that. But what the government should focus on is creating a society, an equitable society, a society where people are not, I'm not saying you can't be equal in society, but where everyone in the society could be able to purchase food, own a home, be educated. And that is one of the issues within the Jamaican society. The Jamaican society is a very unequal society. The rich is very, very, very rich. The poor is very, very poor, and the middle class is suffering. And so if you find a society that there's a lot of inequality within the society, then you're going to find that crime is going to be one of the bases. Also, another thing is that when you look at some of the things within in our Jamaican society, you find that, as I was telling my form class, how people deals with each other, maybe on the road, driving. Some you're in the line at the supermarket, somebody just want to cut you just like that. There's no kindness in the society. So we need to rethink. The school system need to maybe take an entire term or use one subject, create a subject where you teach certain skills, moral skills in the society. Bring some Bible class in the society or teach. Even all religions have the very same principles. Love God and love man. Show them how to love and care for each other from the babies growing up. Give them practical examples. And so you need to give recommendations. I do not say if somebody has given the recommendation already, mean you can't use it. I will not go with this one. If because as I said with crime, people have been using the very same recommendation. Not say I didn't carry out the research, but that is just the fact. Also, you need to reference within the text. Reference, so for example, when you're doing your discussion of findings or your analysis of data or interpretation of data, that same section, and you're making anytime or your literature review, there's a prescribed way in which how you do your in-text. All right. Next, some general things. Your essay should be space, double space. So it should be 12 point times New Roman font. That is what it should be. You should have a page header, also known as a running header. And you need to have your title page, as I would have shown from the other IA. So don't give me single line, because some of you, the introduction that you would have sent, some of you would have sent it single line. If you send up single line to CXC, they're going to red flag your SBA or your IA. And you don't want them to red flag. Now, I'm going to see if I can show you a website. I don't know if the computer will allow me to. So I'm going to stop share. But there is a website that I use in my own study. To help me with my bibliography or reference. And if students who I would have taught before, especially for history, I would have recommend this for them. And especially you ladies, you're going to university next year. You need to, this is one of the places you're going to, you need to find your reference. It will help you with doing your reference when you're going, well, when you start university next year. Let us see if it is coming up. It is giving me some problem. But in the meantime, ladies, let me, any questions?
Sir?
Go ahead for me, please.
Sir, right before you started to talk about the APA website, so you said we'll get flagged on a line. I didn't quite understand that latter
You
part.
get red flag if it is single line, single space. Sorry, single space.
Oh, okay.
They would
Sir,
red flag you if it is single space. And you don't want them to red flag you.
Okay,
correct?
sir.
So ensure that
no red flags.
Yes, double space. Because remember that they are we call it now moderating all the SBAs and IAs this year. And it will, I think it should continue. Next, so there's something here that is, there's a site that I use that is called EasyBib. So just type in EasyBib in Google. You go to EasyBib And there's a lot of different sites online that can generate your, we call it now, your bibliography or your reference page. A lot of sites. Any question in the chat?
No, sir.
All right, good. Thanks much. This is taking longer than I am. All right, so when you go to EasyBib, most of you are computer savvy, right? So you go to easybib.com. You can use other sites. You can create an account with them. You have the free version, the version that you can pay for it, right? Uh, if you have a link somewhere, you get a link from the internet, you can copy that link, paste it in EasyBib, and it will create the reference for you. So the only thing you have to do when you create the reference is to copy and paste that reference into your work. Also, if you use a book and you want to cite the book, you just type in the name of the book. Not all books will come up, especially if it is Caribbean books, but you can figure right here, which is create citations. Yes, so if it is not Caribbean, some Caribbean books are not on the system. Some are on the system. Some international books not on the system because it is a site like this that if people don't put in the information, you will not get it. So if you use a book, more likely you're going to use, if it is a Google book, you click book right here and you put in the information. If it is a journal article, you do the same. If it is a website, you do the same. And also you have more, which show you how to do it to reference a maybe a we call it now a newspaper article, a YouTube video, things like that. So newspaper article, uh, film, online video, online database, advertisement, Bible, blog, brochure, cartoon, chapter, all these different stuff. It will show you. If you listen to a program on the TV or the radio, you can also, it will show you how to cite those things. So for example, if we want to say that we want to use a website, you use a website, all you have to do is to copy and paste the link right here. Search, it will come up. Once it comes up, then it will show you how to, let us see if this will work. It will actually show you, uh, it will generate it for you. So all you have to do is to copy and paste it, which is pretty easy. All right. Uh, so you use your EasyBib. Maybe next week when I will ask the teacher who is doing next week to see if they can maybe show you how to use EasyBib. But there are several different sites that you can use. Any comments, any questions? Hope I was helpful, ladies. So we meet again next week, Monday, for our common hour. Start to prepare for your exams. You have 4 essays that you're going to do. The essays will cover from location and definition, location and definition, historical process, which was a very long topic, and the next one is characteristics of culture and society. All right, ladies, enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. Same to you.